At Honda, we always look for ways to innovate. That's why we combined summer and celebration to create the Honda Summerbration sales event. You can combine 0.9% APR with the stylish Accord, a car and driver's 10 best. So hurry into your local Honda dealer for the Honda Summerbration sales event. It's amaze-tacular.
Visit your Metro Milwaukee Honda dealer today during the Honda Summerbration sales event.
Car and driver January 2017. APR financing offers available for well-qualified buyers. See dealer for financing details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sam Crow Radio. We are a early morning, 10 a.m. Sam Crow Radio show today. Sorry, I'm trying to get it together here. So excited and or intimidated because I'm about to speak to the infamous Johnny Lange. And to any of you who've ever spoken to him before, he's just the nicest guy in the whole world. So it's his actual physical presence, I think, that's making me nervous. So without further ado, let's have him get on the line and we'll get a chance to talk to him. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine, thank you. If you read my Facebook this morning, you'll see you're intimidating the shit out of me.
I'm not sure why.
I think to myself, has anyone looked at Johnny Lange's picture? I have. I'm here to tell you, you're like huge. I'm like, he's going to bite my freaking head off. So I'm a little nervous this morning.
Nah, I've picked my battles in life at this point in time. Believe me, radio show hosts are not somebody that I'm looking to go toe to toe with. You guys are an asset, not a liability.
Well, thank you so much, and good morning, and thank you for taking the time this morning to do this. I really, really, really appreciate it, and I know everyone else does that's listening this morning. I'm excited. I have a lot to talk to you about.
Okie dokie. Fire away.
All right. Well, let's start off. This is an ironic twist to those that don't know this because most of you may not know some of the stuff that I do about Johnny Lange. But it's strikingly similar. Obviously, if you look at him, first of all, you're going to notice he looks like Kid Rock. What a surprise, right? The first look that I saw was, okay, Kid Rock. And you grew up in my home state of Wisconsin. And ironically, I have a very dear friend that's a Milwaukee musician that actually, by the name of Mich looks just like Kid Rock as well. So we have this really cool motorcycle guy here. We have this Milwaukee musician here, and we have Kid Rock coming this year for the Harley event. So how cool is all of this?
There's some kind of symmetry there. Not sure exactly what that means, but I've been at a few events where he has, and I've actually met him at the Buffalo Chip. We were backstage, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said something like, he goes, "Oh, you're that strip club chopper guy." And I said, "Yep, and you're that musician guy." And that was about it.
That is so cool, though. I mean, that really is. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing that's probably quite the compliment to you that you resemble him, or do you ever find it kind of gets annoying that people are like, "Hey, dude."
You know, I mean, initially, when he wasn't really popular, I thought it was okay. And then I actually did the 105th, and we were set up at Milwaukee Harley Davidson at the strip club next door. I know it's surprising, but we had our Freightliner set up there, and he was there, and he did an appearance at the place, and everybody thought I was him, and I was with a bunch of my running mates and stuff, and I just got tired of it, you know, because the more you tell people no, the more they think it's you are, and you don't want anyone to know. So you can't win for losing at that juncture. So I just went and got no tattooed on my hand, on the palm of my hand, so I could hold up the word no instead of saying no. And unbeknownst to me, I never had a tattoo on my hand. I got them on my arms, but not on my hand. It hurt a lot, and they were all laughing at me when I got it. But I still use it to this day. Not so much for that, but for other people that ask not such smart questions. I just hold up my hand, and it says no, and it works out well. So it's all good.
That's cool. Cool. So hopefully I'll get to interview Kid Rock someday, and I'm going to say, you know what? You look like that Johnny Lange guy.
So, yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well.
Well, you know what? Got to give props to your friends. You know what I'm saying? You got to just get your name out there anywhere you can, you know.
You might not want to open with that line. Maybe you close with that line. That way the interview is over.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm a little afraid of him, too. It kind of scares me. If you big, burly guys, it's like you're tall and you got the long hair and you got the sunglasses, and I'm just like, okay, scary. Okay, you're not going to bite me, so we're good. All right, I want to talk about where you started off originally, wee little tiny Johnny Lange. For those that don't know, you were born in Oxford, England, prior to your relocation into the United States. Curious to ask how much of your childhood was spent there and what you remember memory-wise, because most of us obviously have lived here in the States. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been back a few times, and so I have somewhat of I'm still a dual citizen. If you're born in England and you're a British citizen forever, they don't recognize the fact that you renounced your citizenship if you become an American citizen, which I subsequently did become one later in life in my 20s. So, but I came over when I was 3, 4, whatever, somewhere in that range. And, you know, but I said, I've been back 3 or 4 times. So, you know, but as far as being over there, I have some vague memories of it, you know, when I'm being little. And then, you know, so it's very, very limited. But then I grew up in outside Milwaukee in Racine, actually, you know, the Mistake by the Lake or Sin City, whatever you want to call it. And I left there in 90, and when I got out of the University of Wisconsin, and went down to Florida and had a different career for a while. Before that, I had another career. We don't want to talk about that one though, but it's all good. I've had an interesting life. It's had a lot of twists and turns, but I've ended up where I'm supposed to be, and it's all good. I've done some really, really good things, and I've done some not such good things in my life, and you know, it's an open book. I don't hide nothing. You know, it is what it is. So, but you know, I grew up in Racine, and you know, a lot of good people in the Midwest. Enjoyed growing up there. You know, just I couldn't deal with the winters though. I like to ride my bikes all the time, and Florida, and I lived in California for a few years too, 4 or 5 years. The warm climate allows you to, you know, obviously ride a much greater percentage of the time, which is, you know, and being in the industry, it also affords you a lot more opportunities when you can ride a lot. So that, I don't know if that answers your question about Wisconsin, but like I said, a lot of good people there. Still have good friends there, and I think I'm going to be there for 110th. It looks like it's kind of getting locked in. I have just jump ahead a little bit here, but I'm doing a very large vending area / promotions, whatever you want to call it, in Daytona. We're opening the first Strip Club Chopper Roadhouse compound at the Boot Hill Saloon across from the Iron Horse, and one of the guys who is set up there has a bunch of spots or whatever space at the racetrack, the old racetrack there, the old Milwaukee Mile. And he wants me to come out there and do an appearance and bring one of my franchises with. And so we're still working out the details. Or I also have the option to be over at Milwaukee Harley. They also have some conversations with them. So looks like one way or another, after Sturgis, I'll probably bring the rig over to Wisconsin, drop it, and shoot back to Florida for a week or so, and then head back up there and be set up somewhere. Every 5 years, it's nice to be in Wisconsin for the 110th, 105th. I was there for the 100th too, and so it's enjoyable. I see a lot of old friends, and it's the birthplace of Harley, so you can't beat it. So.
I was just going to say, yeah, because I was expecting you to say like 2 minutes ago, I'd rather live in Wisconsin than anywhere else. No, because it's the best place to be.
It's got great people. Ouch. If it was like July, like Summerfest weather all year round, I'd have never left, but it's not.
So basically, if I'm getting you right, it's because the Harley thing's in August, which is why you're coming. Otherwise, basically, you'd kind of be like, too freaking cold. I'm not going there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I want to ride around. I want to go down to Summerfest. I want to, ride out to the, where the Brewers play. I usually have events out there, out to the state fairgrounds. I want to, shoot down to Racine for a day, go see some buddies. I mean, I want to ride and enjoy it, and it's great. It's great in the 30 days of summer there.
Ouch! Look at how nice you're into the whole from Wisconsin, by the way, because we're both from the same place.
Hey, I grew up there, so I think I have some right to interject on some of those issues. If I wasn't from there, I couldn't say all these things, but I did.
That's very true.
I did my 20-some years there, literally and figuratively, and so I've done time in Wisconsin. I like to say.
And how nice is it? Because I'm betting if I ask Johnny Lange right now, I'm looking out my backyard here, and I am seeing snow. I'm betting that you don't see that there, do you?
No, I have shorts on, man. I took my new trailer over this morning to have new logos put on it for Daytona. I got to leave for Daytona next Monday. So I had shorts on and took the trailer over, dropped it off, and was doing some stuff on shameless self-promotion on Facebook this morning, and then came back here to do this interview. So.
Awesome, and we appreciate that. Once again, before I move on, I wanted to ask this, and I think it's maybe just a give me question, but do you think Harley, obviously because it's based here in Wisconsin, had some compound influence for you pertaining to your passion for motorcycles or maybe getting into it at all?
I'm sure it didn't hurt, because of the locality. I mean, when you're growing up, your dream is always to have a Harley. I mean, it's part of the American culture. You know what I mean? It's an iconic brand. You know what I mean? Everyone aspires to have a Harley because it's American made and it's, part of our culture. And, so everybody, that's kind of a dream. Now, back in the day, after you got one, a lot of times it turned into a nightmare because they weren't that well put together, and you just used to buy them and rebuild them, basically. I mean, they're the most brilliant marketing company in the world, if you think about it. They used to convince you to buy a brand new motorcycle and rebuild it before you took delivery of it. How smart is that? I mean, really? Let me buy this bike. It's got no chrome on it, and it's underpowered. And then let me bolt a bunch of chrome on it. And by the way, before I take delivery, go ahead and put an engine upgrade kit in there for $3,000. I mean, are you kidding me? How brilliant is that? I mean, you wouldn't buy a Porsche like that or a Camaro or whatever. You just don't do that. But Harley, brilliant in their marketing strategy. Now that's kind of gone by the wayside somewhat now. The bikes that are rolling off the factory lines now are all customized. I was at the Harley dealership yesterday. A friend of mine owns one here in Florida, and I was over there talking to him, and I'm looking at some of the bikes, man. They're rolling off the assembly line customized, looking great. I mean, they've changed their marketing strategy a lot now because they have to be much more competitive, because of the economy and because of, all the other stuff that went on back in, 5-7 years ago with all the custom builders that used to be around, which are subsequently gone. But they had to kind of tune it, dial a different strategy in. So they make a lot of customs now, old school looking bobbers. And I mean, I'm looking at one, it's got a fold-in license plate on Sports Store I was looking at yesterday. I'm like, really? I mean, Harley's putting this stuff off the assembly line. So they have totally changed that now. So you don't have to do those things that I just, alluded to. So.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. All right. I want to move on to rave about you a little bit more here. In your opinion now, do you think it surprises individuals that you're highly educated? And by that I mean, obviously, it's your persona, obviously. What you're infamous for right now, if you walked up to somebody right now and said, hey, you know what, I got a degree in sociology and psychology, does that surprise people? Are they taken aback by that?
Well, I mean, it's not stamped on my forehead, so I don't know. Most people know that, and a lot of them probably don't really care. They like the fact that I build motorcycles with stripper poles on. They think that's just the greatest thing in the world, or they think it's the most stupid thing in the world. Either one, I really don't care. It's all about marketing and selling swag. But I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I had a previous career. I worked in mental health, and I worked as a social worker, and I worked as a juvenile probation officer. I know it was kind of ironic that I did that after being a criminal earlier in life. So, so I've done a lot of stuff, but it's working in that field is very, very stressful. I worked with juvenile sex offenders. I ran a program for sex offenders down in Clearwater and for a while, and it's very, very stressful, and you don't know if you're making an impact. You hope you are. And so I did that for 7-8 years, and I needed, I had 2 bachelor's degrees from University of Wisconsin Parkside, which is near Kenosha, Racine area, and then I went to graduate school at the University of South Florida for about 2 years. I never finished, but I was in graduate school, which is a feat just to get in by itself, but never did finish. I don't know. School was always easy for me. I really never really I always went to class. I never did any homework, but for some reason I have the ability to retain information in my head, and so I just spewed it back out at test time, and I did pretty well in school, when I wanted to. So, so I guess people are surprised. I think that they're not so surprised when they come up and they make some idiotic comment, and I shoot back something they don't really know if it's a shot at them or not, because there's some sarcasm and dry humor in there. You know what I mean? Because I've heard the same thing. Being on the road for 15 years in the motorcycle industry, you hear, idiotic comments constantly. Well, you should have done this to that bike, or how come there's a pole sticking out of that thing? Well, I don't know. It says strip club choppers on everything that I possibly have here. Do you think that might be why there's a stripper pole on a bike? So I hear stupid comments constantly, so I kind of got to bite my tongue a lot and consider the source, and it is what it is. It's just I have an education. Sometimes it ekes out when I don't want it to. You know what I mean? But I think it's helped me in business and marketing and, you know, the ability to formulate, you know, plans of the ways to handle different problems that that occur in business and promoting things and marketing and you know, networking. So I think that the education that I got, you know, it really just shows you have the ability to learn, and you can, you know, adapt and overcome on the road. It was real easy for me to figure things out and make things work, because it's not perfect when you're out on the road traveling, doing shows. Things happen. Weather happens, you know, poor attendance happens, you know, things happen. So you have to constantly be, you know, dealing with situations, and when you have an education, you know, you have the ability to, you know, to deal with problems a little bit better than maybe someone who doesn't, I guess. So I don't know.
Well put. Thank you. You answered all the other questions I had in that regard. So good. We can move on now to something a little more negative with a positive outcome. How does that sound? Because you did say you are an open book, so I am going to ask you this. Let me start off by saying, of course, all of us know that at times your youth can bring life-altering experiences, and obviously yours experiences are not dissimilar in terms from a legal standpoint. I know you've been quite candid in the disclosure of having a conviction that's less than favorable relative to illegal drugs. I want you to tell me, or actually tell us, how does one find themselves at this downward slope in their life? How did you get to that point, I guess, is my first question.
Well, when I was young, you know, you know, we smoked pot in high school. You know, that's what we did. And then, you know, shortly thereafter, I figured, wow, man, there's supply and demand here, so I think I can make some money doing this, you know. So I started, you know, selling marijuana, basically, when I was in high school. And you know, continued on while I was in college, and, you know, subsequently was arrested. You know, the reason why I was arrested is really irrelevant. I mean, somebody snitched on me, but nevertheless, I was still doing something wrong. That's the bottom line. So, you know, got put on probation, whatever, and, well, we're going to give you a drug test and do all this. And this was in Racine. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. So, you know, they're giving me, I'm on probation, and they're giving me, you know, weekly urinalysis. Well, then I started selling other stuff, you know, cocaine, basically. But I wasn't using it. I mean, I have used it in my life, but I wasn't using it. And then, bear in mind, this is over 25 years ago, so just keep that right out there. You know, this was in 83, 84, whatever. So almost, you know, going on 30 years. You know, so they were giving me tests and stuff. So I'm selling, you know, other drugs and whatever. And same thing, got busted again. And when you're on probation for dealing drugs and you get busted for dealing drugs again, they frown upon that. So it was the old adage, either A, you snitch on people, or B, you're going to the penitentiary. Well, you know, I chose the latter. Very glad I did, because I'm the one who got caught. You know, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. That's really the bottom line. But you don't know inherently inside you what you're going to do until you face that dilemma. And at 22, 23, you know, with long hair, and you know, you're scared. I mean, out of your mind to go into the penitentiary. You know, you hear all the stories. Well, this was in Wisconsin. I ended up going into Dodge, which is a correctional institute, which is still there, by the way. It was a receiving facility. It used to be a freaking mental health hospital. Ed Gein was in there, by the way.
Really?
So, yeah, side note, I was 2 cells over from where Ed Gein was, which was kind of cool. Anyway, so I ended up going, you know, into prison because I wouldn't snitch on anybody. I got sentenced to, what the hell did I get sentenced to? 4 years. Did 21 months and 18 days. You always remember the numbers, you know. My number's 135311. You always remember these numbers because you can't function in an institution without those numbers. But, you know, it was the best thing, to be honest with you, that could have ever happened to me at all. Because
really,
I would probably still be doing that to this day if I wouldn't have got stopped. You know what I mean? Because it's you make a lot of money. It's easy money. You know what I mean? And so it had to be some negative consequence for me to stop, and that was obviously a very negative consequence for me, taking my freedom away. And then I had other legal issues, too, with immigration, because I wasn't a U.S. citizen at the time, and they wanted to deport me back to England. So I had all kinds of legal issues to go on, and to say that it was a disappointment to my parents is a freaking understatement, you know. So, you know, all those things together made me what I am today. And then, you know, when I got out, went to the University of Wisconsin, got 2 degrees, and that's really why I went to social service, to give something back to society that I had taken away. And that was ultimately why I went and did that. Plus, if you've been there and you've made mistakes, who better to relate to kids or people, whatever, that are on that path and say, hey, look, this is what happened to me. This is, what was the outcome of my life. You know what I mean? I went to penitentiary because I was a knucklehead. Do you want to learn from my mistakes like a wise man, or do you have to be, do you have to learn from your own mistakes? So because when you're talking to somebody, if you just have gone to school for, social services, psychology, sociology, and have no, school of hard knocks education, it's one thing, you know what I mean? So when you have both those and you can bring both those genres together and help somebody, they're a little more receptive to listening to you when you say, hey, I was in prison. I know what it's all about. You know what I mean? If that's the path you want to choose, here's what you can have in store for you, So, those things that happened to me in my life made me who I am today. And I never forget that. That's why, people, oh, man, he was a cocaine dealer. Yeah, I was, 28 years ago. I get pulled over by the cops every now and again because my Freightliner, that I, used to drive had 8-foot-tall black strippers on the side, black silhouettes. And cops would pull me over. You got any drugs in here? I'm like, no. Ever been arrested for drugs? Yep. Oh, really? When? I'm like, before you were born, sunshine. You're about 28 years late, and they're like, what? When you're like brutally honest with them, they're all confused,
Right.
You got any in there now? I'm like, nope. If I want some, I'll get some when I get to the show. The cops they don't know how to act when you're like that, They're like, they go back and run. They're like, you're exactly right. I'm like, you want to search the vehicle? No, you're pretty honest. You can go. It's like they're used to people lying to them. So when you're like so candid and so honest, they're off guard. They don't know what to do.
Sure.
So it's awesome. I mean, I've used that line so many times to cops. It's not even funny, and because they know it's all electronic now. You know what I mean? They'll run your name. Right. It comes up, date of birth. Oh yeah, was in the penitentiary in 1983. It's freaking, it's 20-some years ago, and I swear to God, that's a true story. I had some state trooper in Texas pull me over. You ever been in the penitentiary? Yep, before you were born, sunshine. And he's like, what? Because he was a young kid. He was in his 20s, Sure. So he came back and he just was laughing at me. He goes, dude, I've never met nobody like you. I go, yeah, well, one of me is one too many, brother, so we're all good.
Very well put. My goodness. So I guess I could presume, of course, that this whole experience served as maybe the catalyst for doing some of the social work and the other things that you ended up doing prior to your career now.
Yep, absolutely. It was, what I, wanted to, like I said, pay my debt to society. Other than being in the joint, I thought maybe I can help some people avoid my path in life, and maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. That's ultimately, it's ultimately your own decision what you do. So I didn't have anybody to tell me this stuff, though, other than my parents. And of course, you don't listen to them when you're young. Of course, everything they ever told me was exactly right, but it takes a while to figure that out sometimes. So.
Of course, definitely. And do you find now, especially looking back at all of it, as far as your parents go, were they surprised, or were they kind of predicting that this is the life that Johnny Lange was going to end up with? Are they pacified now or satisfied?
Oh, no, they're extremely happy. My parents live in St. Augustine Beach, and I visit them regularly. I just went over and landscaped their house for them for Christmas, and and my mom's on her way to England today. She's flying out of Orlando, going back to England today.
Okay.
So I talked to her yesterday. So no, I mean, they're extremely happy that I've utilized my brain rather than being a knucklehead. And I mean, like I said, I was always, when I was young, he has all this potential to do stuff. I just channeled all the energy in a bad way for a while. Then I readjusted it, and took a step back and go, okay. I mean, there's most guys in the penitentiary are doing what we call life on the installment plan. They keep going in and out, in and out, in and out. You know what I mean? And I was just determined that wasn't going to be me. I mean, I'm in there, I'm helping guys. I'm reading legal documents and helping them file legal briefs, and I'm freaking, teaching guys how to read, and you know what I mean? I'm helping people, at the law library. These guys couldn't read. Or write, do anything. They had no education. And I'm going, man, what am I freaking doing in here with these clowns? Obviously this is their only path in life. They weren't in college. They didn't have any education to speak of. That doesn't mean everyone who doesn't have an education ends up a criminal, but, obviously it's a greater percentage, unfortunately, so it's just reality. So I had an education and had a lot of, opportunities that I chose to squander. So once I, realized that and kind of that sunk in, that 21 months and 18 days of thinking about it, sure gave me a lot of time to, develop some insight. So, at that point in time, you just go, okay, is this what I'm going to do? Is my life plan to do life on installment like the rest? I mean, I was in for, like almost 2 years. There was a guy who got out and got back in during that time. Now, that's hard to do. You know what I mean? That's hard to do because you have to work your way back through the system, and get back in. And then usually people sit in jail for a while because jail is different than prison. And anybody who's been in both knows there's a huge difference between those two. So you either come to a decision in life, okay, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be doing life on installment plan. I'm going to, change things, or that's you choose to be a criminal. I always used to tell them, hey, if you guys were very good criminals, you wouldn't be in here. So you need to look for a new frickin' line of work. And they're like, what? So anyway,
goodness gracious,
that's my story.
Now, I'm also curious to ask this. So if Mama and Papa Lange were sitting here right now, would they sound very different? Because I notice your dialect reflects no English accent whatsoever.
No.
So
My mom has a strong British accent, very strong. Okay. My dad's actually from Racine, so he grew up in Racine, so. But I was a surprise, if you know what I mean. So I didn't get U.S. citizenship. I had to go after it, which was another whole freaking story. So, anyway.
And here you are right now. So we have you. So that's all that matters. Okay, let's talk a little bit about 1998 proved as a fundamental start in terms of the journey of your so-called, what I call it, motorcycle creation life. You held a steady employment with California Motorcycles, and I understand your primary functions were, of course, marketing, promotion, and development of motorcycles in Florida. I wanted to ask, was that then, at that point, was that the so-called itch that began in terms of you wanting to actually get into the production of motorcycles, or how did that all come about?
Oh, it was really, I always had motorcycles. I had a couple of Triumphs. I had one when I was in high school that I took apart and couldn't figure out how to get back together. So, I always had motorcycles. And I had some Harleys. When I was probation officer, I used to go down to I worked in South St. Pete in the ghetto, and I used to drive down and visit the knuckleheads on my Harley. So I've always had motorcycles, but they were more part of, a hobby or my, my leisure time. They weren't business. I monkeyed with them, tore them apart, did things to them, that and Corvettes. I used to monkey with both those things. Anyway, so I was running a juvenile sex offender program in Clearwater. I was the assistant director and head of transportation and whatever. I had like 3 titles because it was a nonprofit. So anyway, I walked in one day and they had their government grant was being renewed, and they had a budget cut of like $60,000, and they were like, your salary and your benefits equal this. And you got 2 weeks. And I had gotten a settlement on a lawsuit. I had been run over on my Softail, so I had gotten, not a lot of money, but a little bit of money, enough to last me probably a year, without having to work. So I was like, man, I'm kind of burnt out on this. Dealing with juvenile sex offenders, and a lot of them are victims, is very, very stressful. And there's a lot of horrific stories that I wouldn't ever want to tell anybody. But anyway, so I was like, man, it's time for freaking career change. I need to look at something else. So I started out as a commissioned salesperson for California Motorcycles. Now, they were like basically knockoffs of Harleys back in 96. They started in 96, 97 out of Gilroy, California, okay? And I was working at the dealership in Tampa, because I lived in Tampa at the time. And so I went to work there, and, I would only make money if I sold bikes. And we didn't sell a lot of bikes. But I was in the industry, you know what I mean? And I was learning about things, and I have the ability to retain information. So I'm very inquisitive, especially when you're sitting around and you're selling motorcycles and you ain't got no customers, so you're trying to find out more and more about the industry. So, pretty soon I was the sales manager, which I think I had one salesman working under me. Then the GM got busted for something. I can't remember what, some kind of fraud he was stealing or something. So I got a battlefield promotion. I ended up being the freaking GM there in no time, And we had a couple of techs working there and stuff. So, you know what I mean? But I was always bored. Okay, I figured this job out. I know how to be GM. Now what? You know what I mean? I'm always like aspiring to do something else. So then I went from there. Then I was working for the Wrench down in Tampa, which was owned by an old buddy of mine who passed away a couple of years back. And he was building custom bikes, ground-up customs. And then he got into frame manufacturing. So I helped him make that transition, learned about, building frame jigs and how to be a motorcycle manufacturing company and how to, buy components at the right prices. So I was, doing that, and I was also the road dog. Because when you work for a small company, you do everything. So I'm also on the road, and I'm going to Myrtle Beach doing shows, and I'm going to Daytona, and I'm going to, Sturgis for him. I'm the road dog, because he also owned a roofing company, which he ran, that allowed us to basically exist, because we weren't making money at the time, but, he was siphoning money off his roofing company to keep the Wrench open, which is still open to this day, by the way. They're a frame manufacturer. So anyway, so I got into that, and everywhere I went, I learned more and more. You went from a salesman to the sales manager to the GM of the dealership, a bike dealership. Then you're working for someone who's manufacturing their own components, handlebars, fenders, frames, building bikes. So everywhere you're learning more and more, and you're adding more to your base of knowledge. Then I left there and went to work for Exotics Motorcycles in Oviedo, which was near Orlando, which was a manufacturer. Worked for them for a while. Worked for another manufacturer for 2 weeks, but me and the guy who was running the place got into it big time, because one thing about me, I'm not bashful. And I found out that he was stealing from the owner and doing all this other crap, and I was just like, man, I'm out of here, dude. So anyway, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but it was another manufacturer based in Florida. Then they're out of business. I was always getting more and more knowledge and developing knowledge. So at some point in time, the light came on in my freaking head. I'm like, listen, and when I work for somebody, it's like it's my company. That's how I kind of look at it. You know what I mean? So I'd be working 60, 70 hours a week. I'm on the road. I'm in, one time I'm working for the Wrench, and we had a bunch of frames and rolling chassis, and I'm in Laughlin, which is in Nevada, at a bike show there. And Brad, the previous owner, and his wife flew into the show, and we're there, and some guy comes up to me, and he's from Orange County, California. And he's like, I'll take all this, everything you got here, how much? I'm like, I don't know. The retail was probably $70,000. I said, for the whole package deal, let me check with the owner. We can probably work something around 65, 60. He goes, I'll give you 62.5. I said, okay. So I told the owner, he's like, hell yeah. $62,000. He goes, one condition though. He said, we're all on our bikes. You need to deliver this to Orange County. I'm like, well, that's in the opposite direction the way I'm going, brother. I'm like, okay. So I said, all right. Brad looks at me. I go, man, for the company, I'll do it. I'll do it. I don't care. It's my life. It's what I do. I enjoy it. I mean, plus I get to go to California. So unbeknownst to me, he gives us a $5,000 deposit, which ensures that he's serious, because I'm not driving there and hoping to collect $60,000. You need a deposit to make sure this guy's legit. So he gives me, I think it was $5,000. I gave it to Brad, so he took it back with him. So I drive out there, it's across the desert and into Cali. I think it's like, I remember right, 12 hours, something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, so I roll in there. I get there like 3 a.m, pull into his bike shop. There's like 20 dudes there. And I walk into the office and didn't know that he was affiliated with a motorcycle gang. Whoa. And if you know California, you know which gang that was. He's affiliated with them in some capacity. And so there's some of them hanging out there. I walk in there. Man, with all the bikes, they helped me unload them, or not bikes, but rolling chassis and frames, and it was a legitimate operation, totally legit. Nothing. No, I'm not casting any aspersions on any gangs. I walk in there and counts out the $60,000, hands it to me, just like, holy shit, bad things could have happened at that, you know what I mean? But that was me. I'm just like, all right, I'm all in, let's do this, So I went out, collected the money, drove home with $60,000, so it was cool, So I mean, that's just kind of how I am. I'm all in. And at that point in time, we're driving back from Cali all the way to Florida. I was like, man, I need to go out on my own, figure out something here. I got to start something that's my own. So, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but I've spent a few times in strip clubs. I know that's shocking to your audience, but I have been in some strip clubs, mainly for market research purposes, but, I have been in there. So I'm at the club, and I'm like, the sex industry, whether it's porno, strip clubs, or whatever, anything sexual, is recession-proof and bulletproof, And it obviously transfers over to the motorcycle industry because it's a lot of macho guys, customers and or, people. So I'm looking, I'm going, I got to combine sex with motorcycles some way. So I'm thinking of different names, and so I came up with strip club choppers. Because choppers were big back then, back in when I started this in 03, 04. 03 is when I came up with the idea. So I'm like, check the domain name, and I went and checked to see if the trademark was available, and they both were available. And so I got the domain name, and I secretly went and got the trademark while I was still working for the other guy, Brad from the ranch. So I told him, I said, and then another opportunity popped up. Some guys wanted me to go to California and do some stuff with them with their front ends of motorcycles as a consultant, whatever, So I said, all right, sounds like a good idea to start strip club choppers. So I went ahead and kind of took some shirts. I had some shirts made when I was still working for the ranch, and I took them to Sturgis. And I was set up at the old Full Throttle Saloon, which is the big Full Throttle Saloon, but then it was not so big. It was kind of smallish. And we were in what was called the Chop Lot, which was a lot right next to where I think they have all their cabins now. That used to be where all the bike builders was. I was set up for the ranch, but I made some strip club chopper shirts. And these frickin' people went crazy. And the logo don't look nothing like it does now, but it had the word strip club choppers on it. And it was nowhere near as cool as the shirts we do now, but it had those words on it, and it had some kind of rudimentary picture of a girl on a stripper pole that's nowhere near as good as ours is now. Let's just get that out there. So the people loved it. And so I knew I had something. Didn't know what, but I knew I had something. So I was like, I sold my house, I sold 2 of my Corvettes, I sold 1 of my choppers, hauled ass to California, and started strip club choppers. So, I mean, it was a leap of faith, but there's people that do things, and there's people that talk about doing things, and it's just you just got to go, and you just go, okay, I'm all in. You're either all in. I mean, it's like the line from Shawshank Redemption, which I love. Either get busy living or get busy dying. Either one, just get busy, and you got to go. Okay, when you put as much into companies that I had, I benefited indirectly because I broadened my base of knowledge about the industry. Because a lot like Brad at the ranch, he allowed me to make mistakes on his dime. Which if you have a guy that you work with like that and goes, yeah, just do what you think, Johnny. I mean, that's like priceless. You know what I mean? And if you have somebody that allows you to do those things, you can kind of, make mistakes on their dime, which is, invaluable. And then, but don't get me wrong, I made a lot of mistakes on my dime afterwards. But, so I was fortunate like that, and I'll always be indebted to him, and rest his soul. And, so I started strip club choppers, and when I started, there was probably 3,000 bike builders in the time. It was during the chopper craze, the big tire craze. Right. So my goal was never to build motorcycles. My goal was to sell swag and develop a brand, develop a logo and market the logo to where that our pole girl was like the Nike swoosh or whatever, whatever, Coca-Cola or whatever. Build a brand. And it's still doing that to this day. I'm still building the brand. But that was my goal. I built a few bikes. I mean, if people say, he's not a bike builder, I never wanted to be a bike builder. That's not my forte. My forte is marketing and promotions. And that was always what I wanted to do. And that's what I have done. Now, do I build these bikes? Do I design all these parts? Absolutely. The bike fairy don't come in at night and do it. I do it. I mean, I get people that say, he ain't no bike builder. Well, how the hell do you think those bikes get built, Sunshine? You think I'm hiring somebody to do them? I build them. I build them on my own time. I design the parts. We have our own frame now. We got our own wheels that are manufactured by a wheel manufacturer, but I've designed all that crap. Do you think that just appears out of magic? I just got done with a bobber for one of my franchises, and I got 2 bikes I got to build after Bike Week. I mean, but that was never my business plan, was to build bikes. There was plenty of guys doing that, And my goal was to sell swag, sell merchandise, because there ain't no warranty work on T-shirts, So it's much easier to sell a T-shirt and have someone go advertise for you. So that, so that's kind of how I got to where I'm at, So.
Boy, you're getting every question. I don't even have to ask a thing. I can just sit here and listen.
Well, I can roll with it.
After another.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I don't hide nothing, and I mean, we used to have, man, I used to have probably 200 dealers carrying my merchandise, man. They're all out of business and gone, you know. I mean, it's been tough for that. And we're doing well. We have our own franchise system now. It's actually a licensing system, but where we have strip club choppers in 30 different states where guys go and do, you know, my set up, you know, kind of miniature versions of my rig in their state, and they do all the shows in their state, which is, you know, kind of a unique business plan that we kind of came up with. So, you know, it's worked out well for us. And but, you know, we had to adapt and overcome. You know what I mean? I didn't see this, you know, crash in the chopper industry and all on the economy going sideways. And I remember back in the day, everybody was buying choppers, and they were $50,000, and people were taking out home equity loans to buy them. Well, that ship sailed. That ain't ever happening again. You know, right. Plus, also, when you start, I mean, Harley took notice, and now they build customs. So people, you know, can get a custom from Harley, like we talked about earlier. So a lot of things have changed, but you have to, you know what I mean? But guess sex sells. It always has. It always will. It's recession-proof. Believe it.
Very well put. You're a smart guy. He's tall, intimidating, but very intelligent, and he's got a kick-ass personality. We're doing well. One thing I didn't get to ask you, when you first started out, what was the biggest challenge for you? I mean, you're a guy, you were kind of doing business on your own, but not really under your own name, and here all of a sudden Strip Club Choppers comes. What was the biggest hurdle, the biggest obstacle you overcame in starting this business?
Well, I guess the biggest one was when I moved to California. You know, starting up from zero requires money. You know what I mean? And I was going through money very quickly. California's very expensive, especially where I was living, Huntington Beach. $2,000 a month for a condo. You know what I mean? And you have a company that's not making a lot of money. And the guys who I was supposed to go to work for out there as a consultant turned out to be a complete, you know, tool, or whatever you want to say. There was no job for me. And this is the backside of this story. He was just a complete idiot, and you know what I mean. I believed in the guy, and they basically uprooted my life. I was going to be a consultant with them and do strip club choppers. Well, that didn't come to fruition, so I started a consulting company, Chopper Consulting Services, while I was starting up strip club choppers. And the other two guys who were affiliated with this guy, who were his partners, stepped up and said, "Listen, Johnny, you can do we believe in strip club choppers, even though he doesn't. We're going to financially back you, you know, and help you." And I'm like, but you got to do everything. You got to design the products. You got to go on the road. You got to build the bikes. You got to do it all. I'm like, do that all. That's not a problem. You know, I'm a one-man gang a lot of times. Sometimes I am now. You know, so I'm like, yeah, that's cool. No worries. They were supposed to back me for 5 years, which is about how long a company needs to get to get breaking even. You know what I mean? Well, after about a year and a half, the guy who was their other partner basically ripped them off. Huge money. I mean, I'm talking millions. And put these two guys into bankruptcy. They both lost their houses in California. I'm still friends with both these guys. And I'm still enemy with this other guy. Big time. I'm not going to say any names, but they know who they are. Sure. But the other two guys were great guys, and they're like, "Johnny, our company's going under. We can't support you anymore." So I had to take the company and all the debt of the company and keep going on because I believed in it. You know what I mean? So I paid off all the debt, and I've got us where we're making money, where I actually take a salary, and I got a retirement and health insurance, and you know what I mean? And, you know, we're doing well. So, you know, I mean, that was a huge obstacle. I wanted to fold the tent, man. So I had to haul my little butt back to Florida because the cost of living is much lower, and all my family's here, and I had friends here in the industry, you know, so I had to pack up, you know, the Freightliner and bring everything back and, you know, start basically up over again, you know. And so it was a huge freaking challenge. And still run the company, you know, but these guys, you know, had every good intention. I mean, they stepped here, you know. We were running magazine ads and we were doing all this stuff, which I think our budget for advertising was like $5,000 a month. So we're running up all these bills, and all of a sudden they were like, we got no money to pay all these bills. And then I was like, okay, you know, so what am I going to do here? I'm like either going to fold my tent or they were like, we'll sign the company over to you. It's your company now, but you get all the debt. And I'm like, it's like, okay, you know, and that's where my buddy Jay kind of came in, and Jay Barbieri, who most people know from, you know, American Thunder Television and Two Wheel Thunder on Discovery Channel, and he came in as kind of advisor, partner, or whatever you want to say, and he's like, dude, I'll help you any way I can with stuff, you know what I mean? Not financially, but although he did help me a couple times financially, and I'll help you, you know what I mean? You got somebody who believes in you. And I met this cat right before I met him when I brought the shirts out to here's a good story for you. I met him. Okay. He was filming for Two Wheel Thunder, and he was at Ballard's place, Full Throttle Saloon. And this was before Strip Club Choppers. It was when I just had the T-shirts. It was that year. And he's out there filming. And I used to have a fuchsia motorcycle, which is pink for those of you who don't know what fuchsia is, with green wheels, 10 feet long. And, you know, and it was the most ostentatious thing you could ever look at. And, you know, obviously I'm not bashful. I don't mind being in the center of attention. So he's like, dude, and it had a lot of cool pieces on it. It was a frame that we manufactured at the ranch. And he's like, dude, he goes, I need to film that. And he goes, why don't we meet me later here tonight? We'll have a drink and we'll film it tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So I walk in there, and everybody in the freaking bar that night, and he's got a film crew with him, thinks I'm Kid Rock. And we literally had 500 people following us everywhere we went. And this is in his book, if you ever want to see it. He wrote the Biker's Handbook, and there's a chapter about that and pictures to prove it. And he's like, you know, he goes, you know, I know you're not Kid Rock. I go, no shit, cracker. I keep telling all these people I'm not, and the more you tell them no, the more they say, yes, you are. It's reverse psychology. I can't win for losing. He's like, man, you're the most honest person I've ever met in my life. He goes, everybody else would be playing it up. I go, yeah, but what's your end game here? I mean, I'm not pulling no frauds. I'm not interested in, you know what I mean? And, you know, sometimes I'll just say no and, you know, no, yes, you are, yes, you are. I'm like, whatever. You know, I'm not going to argue with you about who I am. I've told you I'm not him. You know what I mean? And has it gotten me in places and free drinks and have girls chase me down for it? You bet. You know, you bet. You know, so it is what it is, you know. But after you tell them the truth once, how many times am I obligated to do that? You know, I've shown people my ID and they still don't believe it. So I got different tattoos than that cracker. You know, I'm taller than he is. My hair's thicker. You know, there's a lot of differences, you know. And so, I mean, but if you get people in their mind's eye, they see what they want to see. They really do. And these people, so many of them are celebrophiles. They just want to be near a celebrity or what they perceive to be one. It's unbelievable. I mean, I've been backstage to the American Music Awards 4 or 5 times, you know, because Jay's wife produced that show. So I've been backstage. I've talked to, you know, Queen Latifah. I've talked to freaking Fergie. I've talked to someone I didn't even know, Taylor Swift. I didn't even know who the hell it was. I was standing next to her talking to her. I've talked to, you know, I mean, huge A-listers. Don't get no bigger. You know what I mean? Stand in the same room with Beyonce, Lionel Richie. I mean, because I've been many, many times. I've never taken a picture with one of them. I've never asked any of them for an autograph. Never. That's not me. You know, it's not my cup of tea. I think that they deserve their privacy like anybody else. You know what I mean? So maybe you know, so I don't know, man. So I don't even remember what question I was answering anymore because I go off on tangents.
That's
so,
okay.
Anyway,
you did just fine. We were chatting about your integration into Strip Club Choppers.
Yeah. So I mean,
etc.
Yeah, so I mean that oh no, you were talking about my challenge. So that was a challenge. Yeah. You know what I mean? Going from having financial backers to having nothing and going into the hole and taking the debt back and paying it back and getting out of the hole and moving forward and being, you know what I mean, and making it a viable company. And so I mean, it is what it is. And you know, there's a lot of people out there that hate me and hate Strip Club Choppers because they're not chopper builders. Well, I mean, I'm pretty brutally honest that I'm not, and I never aspired to be. I mean, there's guys that build such cool bikes, way, way more talented than I ever am. So that was their niche. That was never what I wanted to be. I built them they're a hook. You build a bike with a stripper pole on it, and they come a-running to look at it and take a picture. You know, it's been on Jay Leno, been on Discovery, Speed. I can't tell you how many magazines. It's a freaking marketing tool. It's a hook. You know, that's how it's always been. It's what it was always intended to be. So I was always brutally honest about it, you know what I mean? So, you know, when people, you know, make idiotic or, you know, uneducated comments about that, you know, that kind of irritates me. But, you know, that's my pet peeve. So that was my big challenge for Strip Club Choppers, to be honest with you. That was a huge one. But, you know, if it was easy, everybody would do it. It ain't easy. You know what I mean? It's very challenging, and you have to be able to think on your feet, and you have to be able to adapt and overcome different challenges that you're going to meet, and that's the reality of the situation. And people think, oh man, he just hangs out at strip clubs and that parties all the time. No, I have done that. There's no doubt about it. I have a reputation for that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But, you know, there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. They don't see me on Facebook at 5 in the morning, you know, shamelessly promoting crap, you know, or they see you at the show after you set up for 7 hours. They don't see you driving the Freightliner for 20 hours straight to get to the next show and set up again. And, you know, they don't see that part of it. They just show up at the show when the booth's all set up and the bikes are there and there's pretty girls. Oh, that's all you do all day. Well, not so much there, Sunshine. There's a little stuff going on behind the scenes. So.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay. Now I want to talk about why I respect you so much. Like, that's not predominantly obvious already. To those that don't know, I know that you specialize in, you build, you trade, you customize motorcycles. Obviously, you've mentioned earlier that you also have owned bikes in the past. I was curious to ask you, tell me what your favorite bike, Johnny Lange's favorite bike has been thus far, either that you've owned or created. Not the full bike, by the way.
I had a chopper when I was in high school, a Triumph, with a twisted Springer front end, which really got me kind of hooked. If I could find that bike again, that would probably be my favorite bike. I love that bike. I was so tall riding that thing. It had a king queen seat. I used to sit on the back seat.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and it was a hardtail, and you know, that was probably my favorite bike. You know, I mean, I've had so many bikes I've built and sold, and you know, I mean, the pole bike is the bike though. I'll never sell that one. You know, I mean, that's the original one. That's the one that, you know, I mean, when we got filmed for, here's another story for you. That the year after I met Jay, we came back and we had a big setup in Sturgis, and I just put the pole on the bike. It was like right before Sturgis, I had like an epiphany. Man, I need to stick a stripper pole on this bike. So I did. And Jay Leno, we ended up on Jay Leno. Now, I never met Jay Leno. I met him at the Love Ride, but I've never met him. I didn't meet him on the show. What happened was Niecy Nash, I don't know if you know who that is. That's a black girl. She's done Reno 911, and she's got a show on right now on I don't know what network, UPN or some network. Anyway, black girl. So she was interviewing people at Sturgis for Jay, you know, for NBC, for The Tonight Show. And she interviewed 500 people. This is what the producer told me. He called me. 500 people. And probably 480 were individuals. And they interviewed like 20 people from companies. Because they don't usually put companies on Leno because they don't want to promote a company. So 500 people were interviewed. And me and Jay, you know, who was also filming out there, he was filming for the Speed Channel, we're at the freaking bar at the Great Loud American Roadhouse in Sturgis drinking, and we're sideways. You know, hey, we're having a great time. And he's like, you know, you ain't gonna get on Leno. I go, dude, I know. I'm not that naive. You know, I mean, really, they're gonna put a company on, really, you know. But it was cool, you know. So, and he filmed me, and he was gonna put me on, you know, on Speed Channel, which is great. But it's not the Tonight Show. It's not that much exposure. So we're at the freaking bar drinking, and let me also preface this by saying we drink heavily when we drink. But we rent a house that's 4 blocks from Main Street, and we walk home. And I would encourage you all to do the same. Do not drink and ride your motorcycle or drive, okay? So let me just also interject that before I continue on. So we're sitting at the bar. Next thing I know, my phone starts blowing up. I'm like, why are all these people calling me, you know? I'm on Leno. The segment's on Leno with me, with the pole bike. And I'm like, my mom's calling me. Relatives are calling me. My aunt from England saw it. I'm like, really? We didn't even see it. You're on Jay Leno, man. I'm like, what? Really? So that's how I found out. It was kind of cool, you know. Wow. So subsequently, I talked to the producer for the show after I got back to Cali, and he sent me the segment and told us we could use it for promotional use. And he's like, dude, Dad, I gotta tell you, man, they never put anybody on who owns a company on. They just don't. They interview individuals, you know. He goes, but Jay liked the pole on the bike. I'm like, all right, well, cool. So, you know, I've been fortunate and had a lot of, you know, good things happen. But it's not luck. It's hard work and opportunity. When those two things intersect, that's luck. You know what I mean? But you have to, you know, it's not just, things just don't happen randomly in the universe. You know, you're there, you're creating an opportunity, and you know, I've been fortunate. I've had a lot of help from a lot of good people. And so, you know, that's my Jay Leno story.
That's a really cool story. I like that, actually. Next question for you. For you personally, looking at every element of your occupation, I'd like you to tell me which one serves you best, and for which do you personally feel you've had the most success in thus far as all the hats you wear?
Well, by far, it's marketing. I mean, I introduce new products every year at Daytona. So I've been designing new T-shirts. That's one of the things that I design, the men's clothes. Like we got a new baseball jersey this year. And I remember when we got our first patch, first embroidery patch. We have 4 patches now, different embroidered shirts. They're made in Wanakee, by the way, another plug for Wisconsin, by Throttle Threads. They do all my embroidery.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so it's all good. Outside Madtown, outside Madison. So anyway, I guess the things I enjoy most are marketing and getting the word out there about the company. I enjoy that, different ways to market, and we're opening up the Strip Club Chopper Roadhouse in Daytona, so that's a new concept I've been working on, which is, I'm really excited about that. Coming up with new stuff and keeping yourself fresh is really, it's imperative to be sustainable in this industry. You have to have new products. Here's a perfect story for you, which I had no clue about. So I come out with some T-shirts, and I think, man, I'm cool. I got some new shirts. I got brand new designs, and I'm in wherever I'm at, Daytona or Sturgis, some big rally. And the same next year I come back with a lot of the same stuff. And customers are coming up going, don't you have any new stuff? I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, we bought all this stuff last year. We need new stuff. I'm like, you mean you'd buy more than one of these things? They're like, oh, yeah, we love this shirt. I had the best time of my life when I wore your shirt to the strip club, or I was the center of attention, and I didn't have to give anybody any money. It was great. It's priceless. And I'm like, really? I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Because, not to be condescending, but I'm used to being in the middle of the ice storm. It didn't really make any difference what shirt I had on. So I was used to it. But these people, all of a sudden, they became something different, and all the girls were talking to me because I had a Strip Club Chopper shirt on. I'm like, wow, okay. So then I quickly learned I need to introduce new products every year. Very quickly learned that, because when the economy was booming, I'd have people come up and they go, hey, Johnny, what do you got new this year? I'll take one of everything. Just get it. Put it on the counter. I'm like, wow. So I didn't see that one coming, which is cool, you know what I mean? But you quickly learn that. I also learned from the ladies that they'd buy my stuff. When I started this, I'd never in a million years thought a lady would buy one of my clothing. That was not even in my, in my realm of thought. And they were like, well, where's our stuff? I'm like, you guys would wear this? Oh, yeah, now it's 40% of my revenue is ladies' clothes. They love it. I'm like, really? But then I started to look back and go, you got to think about this. I do this for a living, so it's kind of like, this is what I do. I go to bike shows. It's kind of, I don't want to say I take it for granted, but you kind of do. But you got to remember, these people are on vacation. They've saved up all year to go to Daytona or Sturgis or Laconia or wherever they're going. They got a pocket full of cash that they're looking to spend. You better have what they want, and they'll buy it. And if you do, because they're living vicariously through that freaking shirt, so they're all of a sudden they're cool. And they're part of the culture by wearing your shirt, and because they're all in the rest of their lives, 58 weeks a year, they're lawyers and doctors and machinists and general contractors and nurses or whatever the hell they are, working at the 7-Eleven. I don't know, whatever they are. So, but they're not part of the motorcycle culture. But I take that for granted. So you have to realize, you have to look at it from their perspective. They can put that shirt on; they're part of the culture, and then they can also wear that shirt to their bike nights and be cool back in their hometown. Gee, I never thought about that, So then you become almost a marketing strategist, and you look at how you have to step back and put yourself in their shoes and go, oh, okay, I understand now. So now, new clothes every year, and I'm like out of ideas for ladies' clothes, and that's not my forte. I can't draw a stick man, to be honest with you. I could tell people how to draw and what to draw. So I actually turned over the design of the ladies' clothes to 2 of the ladies that own franchises, and they just ate it up, man. Man, they love it. I'm like, man, have at it, girls. Knock yourselves out, because I'm out of ideas. So they just think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I'm happy to delegate stuff to people and let them do it, because they're passionate about it. They've become franchisees, which my franchisees they're actually licensees. They're not really franchises. That's a whole legal deal. But anyway, they're actually licensees, and they become Strip Club Choppers that state. And it's like a family. I talk to some of my licensees 3 times a week, 4 times a week. It's not like a McDonald's franchise where here's give us your whatever it is, $100,000, and here you better buy enough wrappers every year to wrap the hamburgers, and other than that, we don't want to talk to you. I talk to these people. I help them book shows. I help them build bikes. I help them whatever, marketing. They're like my dysfunctional kids, you know. And you know, I mean, and you have to like nurture them and foster them so they don't make the mistakes you made. You know, I've got one guy, you know, who owns the franchise, and his girlfriend runs it, and they're Strip Club Chopper Southeast. They have Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. They have 3 states, and they'll be at Daytona with me. He's in Afghanistan. He's a SWAT training officer, and he's coming back for Daytona. And, you know, I mean, he'll call me from Afghanistan every once in a while, and you know, and I'm like, dude, I'm here for you, brother. You know, I'm a big supporter of the troops. Anybody who knows me knows that. I send calendars over and stickers for them, and I'm a big supporter. I might not agree with the politics of the war, but those men and women afford us the opportunity to do what we do in a free society. Anybody who doesn't recognize that and acknowledge that, just go to another country, and you'll find out real fast how great this one is. I always say this is the worst country in the world, except compared to all the rest. You better recognize it. I've been to some of the other ones, and it's not pretty. So
sure. The
franchise system, you know, has worked for us, but I guess the designing and marketing is cool for me. To get back to your original question, and yeah, so I really enjoy that. I enjoy working with the franchises, getting their feedback on things. They help me design products. I help them get to shows and stuff like that. I enjoy that interaction. I've got 5 or 6 different franchises coming down to Daytona, some to set up, one on Main Street at the Boot Hill, and the other one at the Boot Hill location in Ormond. 3 other ones just to come down and visit, hang out, which I think some of these guys I've never met. You know, they've only talked to me on the phone. So they're going to get the full picture when they get down there. Believe that. They're going to experience me. I'm only good in small doses, I tell them. They're like, what does that mean? I go, you'll find out soon enough, sunshine. So it's all good. I'm excited about that, meeting them. But let me just tell you a little story about Afghanistan. So I sent Eric, who owns my Strip Club Chopper Southeast franchise, 50 calendars and 50 decals to give out to the troops, you know, on me for Christmas. And I said, hey, just do me a favor. I said, take some of the stickers, and the stickers say F you from Strip Club Choppers. I don't know if I can use, you know, inappropriate words on this radio network or not, but
yes,
you know what F you means.
Okay,
it says fuck you from Strip Club Choppers, which is my customer service policy, which is a joke. So anyway, so I said, put this on like a Black Hawk helicopter or a freaking Humvee or a machine gun. So you know what they put it on? They confiscated a freaking bomb from the Taliban, and they put it on there, and it's on my Facebook page. It says, F you from Strip Club Choppers, and they're going to airmail it back to the Taliban, they told me. How cool is that?
Wow.
I know. That's what I said, too. I showed my mom over Christmas, and she was even impressed. She's like, wow, that's really cool. You know, I mean, it's a bomb. It's in a military evidence bag. So they said, hey, we're going to deliver this special delivery back to the Taliban one of these days for you, Johnny. I'm like, cool.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was an IED bomb that they had, you know, found, and they unearthed it, you know, because that's how the Taliban works. They bury stuff, and when you drive over, it blows up. You know, that's their way of warfare. You know, so that was really cool. I like that. So
gotcha.
Anyway,
okay,
things like that amuse me.
No, and they amuse us, actually. That's why you're on here. Hello. Not only are you intelligent, but you're cool to just listen to. Now, I feel badly. I have someone that's holding to ask you a question, so I'm going to pop them on the line so they can ask their question, and I'll go back to you. So
okay.
Let's see who we got here.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
I'm sorry you had to wait so long, doll.
This is Ann Jennings.
Hey, Ann. Good morning.
Hey, I'm a Crow admin, and I'm a big fan of your Johnny Lange.
Well, thank you, sweetie.
And I saw that episode of the Strip Club Chopper, the world famous pole bike with the full-size stripper pole on the Tonight Show. And you are amazing, and I love the pink shirt that ties in the front. I'm going to buy one. And I just really think you're great, and much love and respect to you. And that's all I wanted to say, and God bless.
Well, thank you, sweetie. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're
welcome. You might be my one fan. You might be in a minority, but nevertheless, I certainly do appreciate it. But like I said, that was the old fuchsia bike, and that was we were very fortunate to get on and get on that episode, and it was certainly helpful in getting the name out there. And like I said, back then I think I had one ladies shirt, and now we've got. I mean, I introduced 5 new ladies product for Daytona this year. You know, we've got. I mean, it's been we've been very fortunate, very lucky, and to be honest with you, you know. The ladies who come to the booth, they provide you a lot of insight in what you should make. Johnny, you need to make this, or you need to do that. I remember when I had a mechanic shirt for men, and it says Talent Scout on over the one pocket, and it says Strip Club Choppers over the other pocket. And I was at the Rot Rally in Austin, Texas, and a lady comes up, and I didn't have anything on the ladies' mechanic shirt over the pocket, and she said, "Why doesn't ours say anything?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you want? I mean, it says Talent Scout. You don't want that on there." "Well, it should say Talent." I'm like, "Are you serious? That's freaking brilliant. Brilliant." So I'm like, "Yes." I said, "Thank you." She goes, "Are you going to do that?" I go, "You bet. Thank you, ma'am." And she goes, "Well,
that's
if you
great.
if you do it, I want a free shirt." I said, "Let me tell you something, sweetheart. All you got to do is give me I said, "You email me, and you absolutely have the first shirt. That information you gave me is priceless, and we still have that on our shirts to this day." So
that's great. You're a good man.
Well, feedback from customers is, you know, it's very insightful. I mean, some of it's stupid, but most of it is very insightful. I mean, I've had guys, you know, "You need to make this, or you need to make that. You need to make a toilet seat with Strip Club Choppers on." Well, probably not so much this time, but you know.
But Cindy, I just wanted to say I love you too, sweet sister, and
really?
Yes, and much love and respect to my brother
recently?
Sam Crow, also, and
Thank
Johnny.
You.
Same to you. And I'll let you get so you can get another call in.
Okay, thank you.
Gosh.
You're welcome.
Yes, we'll go
Bye-bye.
back to our interview, love. Thank you so much, honey. Oh my God, I always love it when she calls in. She is hands down. I don't know if you know this, Johnny, but she is probably one of my most favorite people. She's always got such a very sweet thing to say. She's always very complimentary, always very flattering. Just sweet. Everyone in the Courageous Club, absolutely lovely, and they all love and adore you, by the way.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying, I'm going to throw that out there, a little bit of that whole lovey-dovey sort of, yes, Johnny Lange's kind of kick ass, and so everybody.
Well, I mean, I am what I am. You know what I mean? I'm just, this is me. There's no, you know what I mean? I can be a complete asshole sometimes. You can ask some of the customers to come up. I mean, here's a little story that I can tell you about me not being so nice one time, and it's not bad, but it's like I used to have a road manager that worked with me, and first of all, working with me, you should get hazardous duty pay because it can be very stressful at times, you know. So anyway, this guy was great. His name was Paul, and anybody who knows me for a long time knows Paul. He used to be my road manager. Was a great guy. He was like me. He'd put everything into the company, even though it was my company. We'd be on the road sometimes 3, 4, 5 weeks at a time, driving from show to show, and we're in that freight liner, and he'd be smoking Marlboro Reds like a chimney and drinking Pepsis, and I'd just be expounding ideas off him, and he'd be, you know, we'd be bouncing stuff off each other. Anyway, it can get trying at times, you know. So we're at a freaking show. I know, and I remember this very well. We're in Daytona, and I got a hangover, and I'm sitting in the table, whatever, doing whatever, probably playing with my phone or on a computer. So there's a guy there wanting to buy a beanie. Our beanies are $20. And they're embroidered, so that's a fair price. And they're made by Throttle Threads in Wisconsin. So this guy, for like 15 minutes, is trying to argue with Paulie about the price. I got 15. Paulie's like, "It's $20, buddy." We don't like cut breaks unless we know you or you buy a bunch of crap. We just don't, because we have a proprietary product. My shirts aren't 5 for $20 like the bike shirts that the guys sell. You know what I mean? Ours are unique, and they don't say Daytona on them, so they're timeless. You know what I mean? They're not going out of style. They say Strip Club Choppers. So it's not like I don't have to cut a break. I do sometimes if I feel like it or whatever, you know, or if I like it, I might give you a free one. But anyway, this guy was going on and on about this freaking cap. So he's like, Paulie's like, "I don't have the authority to do that." And so it's for $20, and you get a free sticker and whatever. I always give free stuff away. So he's arguing, and finally I'm like, "All right, I had enough." So I get up and I walk over, and I'm like, and Paulie knew it was coming. He looked at me and goes, "Oh, shit, this is going to be bad." Guys, I'm like, you know, "I'm the owner. Maybe I can help you out with that price." And the guy's like, "Oh, all right. Well, now we're getting somewhere." I said, "I'll tell you what, sunshine. How's 25? You guys like, what? I say, yeah, $25, and say another fucking word, and it's $30 now. Get the fuck out of my booth. I said, if you ain't got enough money to afford it, get going. I mean, he was just like brutalizing my employee, over $5, and I said, I don't want you wearing my shit anyway. Now get going. So I'm not always Mr. Wonderful. Let's just be clear. You know what I mean? There's times where I'm not friendly, and you know what I mean. It's just when you're on the road so much, and you get worn out by people arguing with you about prices. If you can't afford it, then just move along. You know what I mean? It is what it is. We're not a flea market. And I always tell people this: when I pull up for diesel fuel in this Freightliner, I don't get to negotiate the price. If it's $5 a gallon, it's $5. If it's $3, it's $3. That's reality. It's not, hey, can I get a couple of gallons for $2 and is that going to work out? No. Can I trade you a T-shirt for some diesel fuel? No. It's, and when you're at 6 miles to the gallon, it is what it is, and that's how I approach it. It's a business. It's not a swap meet. So, don't think I'm always Mr. Wonderful, because I'm not.
Wow. Okay, so when you come to Milwaukee, basically, I just avoid your booth and be like, I don't know that guy, because he's going to yell at me.
No. I'm a lot mellower. I don't even sell anymore, sweetheart. I don't even do retail sales. All the franchises do that.
Okay.
I'm there merely to display the motorcycles, and people want to chat or whatever, or whatever. When I go in now, I'll judge the bike show, or I'll judge the bikini contest, or I'll sign posters, or if Jay's there, we'll both sign his book, and that's what we do. I supervise the bikes, make sure people don't climb on them because they got a pole on them, or whatever the case may be, or whatever they need me to do. That's what I do now. I let turn over the retail sales to the franchises. So.
Got it. Perfect. Okay, now I've got some interesting questions, because I'm an idiot, and I mean that in the nicest way. I'm a dump as it's relative to any kind of cosmetic makeup of a bike and what goes into it. I thought it might be interesting to maybe talk about two things. If you could give me a guesstimate, and I know everyone is different in terms of some form of time allotment in order to create a custom bike, and then secondly, how practical is it for a custom-made motorcycle, meaning for the average individual like us who's basically broke 3/4 of the time, how price-wise affordable is it, and, of course, how long does it take to create your average custom bike?
I mean, to build a bike from the ground up, you need – it really depends on the amount of fabrication, like you alluded to, you know what I mean? But you have to build a bike twice. A lot of people don't know this, but you have to build it once what we call a dry metal, or dry form is what we used to call it. You'll build a bike where it's raw metal. You know what I mean? It's not painted. It's not powder coated. You put the motor in. You put the drivetrain in. You put the wheels in. You cut all the spacers. You do all the welding and all the fabrication work is done once. So you build a bike basically with everything except for really like wiring and plumbing and what we call brake lines. I mean, that's how we did it when I worked for the wrench. You build it once, and then you disassemble the whole bike and build it again after things have been painted and powder coated. So if there's a lot of fabrication work, especially on metal work, it could take 6 months, 8 months, even longer. If you're just putting together a bike that's a bunch of parts that you buy from a catalog, you can do that much quicker, but you should still build that bike twice to make sure everything fits, because you don't want to find out after it's painted and powder coated that things don't fit well. So it takes, good months to do a bike correctly. Now, there's guys that may not do it that way, and maybe they're better than I am, and I'm sure that they are, and they can just build it once, but you have to build a bike twice, so it takes a long time. Practically, custom bikes now are really not practical anymore, because when they came out, in mid-2000s and stuff, all the big chopper craze with the big tires and stuff, banks were financing them. They're not any longer. People were getting home equity loans to buy them outright. That doesn't exist virtually anymore. They were insurable and financeable. They're not anymore. And quite frankly, they don't hold value anymore. So that ship sailed. That's over. You know what I mean? You can go on the internet now and find bikes very cheap, extremely cheap. Big Dog's out of business. All the aftermarket companies are gone. Iron Horse gone, Swift gone. The list goes on and on and on. Now there's some individual bike builders still around that are making bikes, which then they do really cool stuff. But most of them are either iconic names like Dave Perowitz or Donnie Smith or Rick Fairless or somebody like that who's an icon in the industry and has a following. But a lot of them also have full service shops. Rick Fairless has a bar at his place. You know, Dave Perowitz, he's famous for painting. You know what I mean? Harlan Ness does a lot of parts. So those guys have other revenue streams, you know, but the bike building stuff, that's over, you know what I mean? You'll have little bike shops with very low overheads or guys who do it out of their garage. They still do it, you know what I mean? But it's not really an industry anymore to speak of. I mean, in Daytona here, the area that I'm running, the Boot Hill Saloon, I have 4 acres there. I gave free space to bike builders, free, zero. Didn't cost them a dime. I had probably 10 bike builders wanted to come down. But they couldn't commit to all 10 days I needed them because they didn't have the money. I mean, this is free space. These spaces used to cost $5,000 to set up. You know, wow. There's a couple vending areas down there that still charge a lot of money. They think it's still 2005. I'm not going to name them what they are, but whoever goes to Daytona knows where the big areas are. I was giving free space away, free, not a dime, and I couldn't get guys to come. I had 3 bike builders bail out on me that they couldn't come. You know, Johnny, I can't afford it. You know, I got to be here to run my shop. And I understand. I get it. I was just trying to give something back to the guys that exist because I'm tired of going to bike shows or bike events where it's freaking cotton candy week and beef jerky week and aluminum siding week. That's what they're selling. They ain't selling bikes. There's no bikes there. I mean, I'm not selling them either, but I'll have 7 motorcycles on display. So people have stuff to look at of ours, you know, but I'm not a bike builder. That's not my forte. I have them there for display purposes. People can look at them. You know, that's not my deal, as we had talked about earlier. But I look like a big bike builder because there's none left. Right. I never, ever saw this coming. So that's where the industry is now. Will it ever rebound? I don't think so. Where it is now, it's all about baggers. And there's some guys doing really cool stuff with baggers. And you know what a bagger is. It's the Harley with the bags on the side. And they're making, you know, the stretched bags. I got a bagger. It was a street glide. We call it the stripper glide. It's got a stripper pole on it that shoots flames out of it. You know what I mean? And it's got, our mags on it. It's got stretch bags and a stretched fender from Sinister Industries, John Shope out of Arizona, who does badass stuff with baggers, you know, so, you know, I've got another one I've got to build right after Daytona, another stripper glide for one of my franchises. But I'm taking a stock Harley and putting all our parts on is what I'm doing. Cool. So I'm not building it from the ground up. You know, once again, you know, full disclosure, transparency here. This is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm modifying an existing bike. It's a Harley because it's financeable, it holds value, and it's insurable. Right. That's the reality of the deal. That's where we are in the economy today. Harley is it. There's, you know, all the manufacturers are gone. They don't exist any longer. I mean, Big Dog was the one that was, you know, they were backed by Coleman Campers. You know, Coleman, everyone knows Coleman from Camping World. Well, that's who they were backed by, and they went out of business. So, you know, and those bikes are now, they're not worthless, but a lot of guys paid $30,000 and $40,000 for those scooters, and they're on the internet for $6,000, $7,000. So you tell me. So. I know.
And just to throw a prop out there, by the way, Harley's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Is it that where it is?
We're a cold state. We're awesome. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I've actually toured the engine plant. I've been to the paint plant, Tomahawk. You know, so I've actually, you know, been on the official tour and stuff. You know, like I said, Harley was always, you know, the goal in life was to own a Harley for me, you know, sure. And I've had quite a few and built some customs, and you know, my daily rider is a Street Glide, 2011 Street Glide, which I've modified extensively, but that thing is comfortable, it's reliable, it handles like a dream. I love it. So I've got 3 choppers on a rival. I look at them.
Oh my God. Did you ever get to that one? Because I know where you're talking. You know the area, obviously. You know, right before Highway 50, that Harley dealership that's got the Harleys in the glass that, like, as you drive on the freeway. Have you visited that? And that's, I want to say, between Racine and Kenosha, right before Highway 50. It's a Harley dealership that faces the freeway axis.
Oh yeah,
really cool bikes. You've seen that, right?
Ukes Harley, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
I've been to Ukes. Yep, I sure have. That's an old Harley dealership.
I know.
Way old.
I know. It's one of my favorite ones, so I'm like, it's so cool. It's just neat to be able to see that. That's awesome. Man, I'm digging you. This is cool. Now, I got to shut up because somebody's been waiting on the line like 7 minutes, so I'm going to be quiet now. I'm going to bring somebody on the line to chat with you. Just 1 second. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Hello, Cindy. It's Michelle.
It's Michelle Williamson.
Yes.
Good morning.
Hi, Johnny.
How are you?
Hey, how are you, sweetie?
Good, I'm good. Here in Florida, I'm calling from Florida.
All right.
But
Well, okay, shoot. Go ahead, sweetie.
Okay. My question is, listening to all that you have achieved so far, my question would be, where do you see yourself maybe in 20 years, some maybe other big goals you have not yet achieved?
I don't know. You don't know where life is going to take you on the journey. I mean, at some point, to be honest with you, I'd like to sell strip club shoppers, and not now. I mean, at some point, I'd like to sell it and take the money, and it's got to have a lot of zeros in that check. Believe that, because we've got copyrighted trademark products. You know what I mean? Lots of them, and I built up to a pretty good distribution network, and so I'd like to sell it at some point, and then I've got other ideas I want to do, things that, and that money would allow me to do those things. If that happens, great, and if it doesn't, that's fine too. I'm not quitting my day job right now, so I don't know what the journey of life is going to bring. I really don't, and I enjoy. I mean, it's not like a job for me. It's inherent. It's what I do. You know what I mean? I get up. I work. I shouldn't even say I work. I do what I do every day. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what I need to get done today. I enjoy it, you know what I mean? And I create new challenges for myself, doing the whole Strip Club Chopper Roadhouse in Daytona, taking over this big 4-acre vending area, bringing in, bike builders, and bringing in the Rat's Hole people, and bringing in the Wall of Death, and bringing in a tattoo parlor, and doing all these things, having 2 bands per day was something I'd never done before. And I wanted to do it, and I knew I could do it. I just wanted to, so I like to create challenges for myself to accomplish things. Okay, so I don't know. Plus I'll be an old man then, older than I already am. So I don't even know. I mean, I live every day full speed, like it's the last one, because all these people, I'm saving up for retirement. Well, you never know when that that last click is on the clock there, and you better, I got all this money saved up, and then you fall over, so I'm balls at it. I like to do things. I like to enjoy life. I like to travel. I like to meet people. I got to go to we got our own Strip Club Chopper cruise going next year, where we're taking bikes on the boat, on a Royal Caribbean boat, next year. I never did that. Cruise Line contacted me. Hey, you want to bring some bikes on our boat and ride them off onto exotic islands? Yeah, that sounds good. Then I got a buddy of mine from the Dominican Republic. He's like, I'm coming to Daytona. I need to talk to you. I want you and Jay to come down and ride Dominican Republic this year. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. I want you to film a video for us, and we're going to pay for everything. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good too. And, so there's new stuff coming my way all the time, and I enjoy it. And even if I were to sell SCC, I'd like to be hired back as a front man to go and do shows, because everyone, for whatever reason, associates me with the company. I'm not sure why, but I'm like, because it's not called Johnny Lange Strip Club Choppers. It's called Strip Club Choppers, and I did that on purpose because that's marketable. That name is marketable. Not my name necessarily is not, because I have the name of one musician and I look like another musician, so it could be some confusion there, So I don't know if that answers your question or not, sweetie, but I'm not sure. I go at it every day, and lots of ideas pop through my head, and some are good and some aren't so good, and I just try to move forward with the good ones. So.
Excuse me. Oh, it works for me. You have a very positive aspect about things. So it was good hearing you.
And I appreciate your call. That was a great question. Thank you, sweetie.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
Honey, thank you. Thank you, dear.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, dear, I have more questions for you. Not too many more, though, because you're basically doing my interview for me, so you're cool. You can come on my show any day you want. You can talk to me every day.
Good to know. Good to know.
This is like the easiest thing I've ever done. I'm like, most of the time it kind of looks out, but you're kind of like.
You there?
Hi. Hello? You can hear me?
Oh, yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I hear you, sweetie.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Okay. Right. Which is the upcoming cruise. The other thing I wanted to mention to people, an individual that's listening or will listen to your interview that has a desire for doing a franchise, how do they get involved with something like that? What needs to happen?
Well, let me just make it real clear. It's not a franchise, and I've alluded to that. I call it that for ease of terminology, because people would understand what it's a licensing agreement. What does that mean? It's basically what we do is we license our name back to to an individual who becomes strip club choppers of that state. Strip club choppers of Georgia or South Carolina or Montana, whatever, And they do all the shows in that state, whether it's a big bike event or a little one or a bike show or a bike night or a tattoo show or an adult convention or whatever. They want music. I got one guy in Colorado, he does a lot of concerts. Our logos cross over to different subcultures, and because it's sex, you can set up at a strip club and do a bike night there, or set up at a porno convention, or go to a tattoo show, or do a car show, whatever. It crosses over. You know what I mean? So it gives us a lot of opportunities for selling stuff. But there's 30 states are gone already, but there's some good states left. And you can find out if you go to stripclubchoppers.com and you click on franchises, you'll see what states are available. Most of the Southeast is gone, except for I think North Carolina is available, and Mississippi. Everything else down here is gone. There's some states in the Midwest that would be good, real good. Ohio and Michigan are available. Wisconsin is not, and the guy's out of jail.
Oh, what a surprise!
Yeah,
Great.
so
now I can't do it. Thanks.
Yeah, you can't do it, honey. So, but there are some good states available in the Midwest and some in the Northeast, but a lot of them are gone, and some of the states that are left are not very populated. Probably will never happen. But we also do worldwide stuff. We had somebody in Canada last year that did all the Canadian shows, and I was talking to somebody in Brazil and Europe about opening that up. Now, that's a whole different ballgame. We would manufacture over there because of shipping and customs costs, so that's a whole different ballgame there. But and then I had somebody down in Brazil who wanted to do it. So we've got, we've had a lot of inquiries, and sometimes you never know who's inquiring. You don't know if they have $2 or $2 million. You have no way of knowing, and so I treat them all the same. But but we sell a lot of stuff on the internet overseas and in Canada and obviously in the United States. So we're real fortunate. But that's basically how it works. And they come on board, they pay us a licensing fee, and then they become strip club choppers of that state, and then they just buy all their merchandise from us. And it's not real strict. It's not it's not a franchise. It's a licensing agreement. So. Okay.
Got it. And the only reason I reference that is just because I know, like, when you go to stripclubchoppers.com, you have that section talking about the franchising, and that's why I'm like, this is interesting. I also wanted to note, too, obviously, you have your section on your website with your merchandise, which we obviously know you've got the bike parts and the swag, and, of course, apparel catering to both men and women. I wanted to ask you, do you feel that over the course of the next year or two, let's say, we're going to continue to keep seeing that grow and branch out, not necessarily just apparel, but just new products, new different things that you're developing?
Well, product development it's tough. It really is, because you can't just, I've done a lot of stuff over the years, and we've done, glasses, like shot glasses and pint glasses, and we've done, I've done all different kinds of stuff, some promotional, some products, but here's the hard thing. When I have over 100 products right now, and a lot of the stuff is made in the States, a lot of it. And it's not inexpensive to have stuff made in the States. But people don't want to pay for stuff made in the United States. They want to pay Chinese prices, but they want American quality. And it's tough. You're walking a fine line. Our shirts are assembled in Wanakee, but the shirt actually comes in from Honduras or Israel or wherever the hell it's coming from, and the patches come from China. It's real high quality stuff, and they're put together in Wisconsin. My screen printing is done in Daytona, so I'm trying to employ people in that capacity. My parts are all made in the States. I have a water jet guy here in Florida. My chromer's in California, so the parts are all made in the States. But, so it's tough to develop a product. And then when you develop it, then you don't buy one. You have to buy hundreds of them. So you're tying up a lot of capital. I'm very fortunate. I have good working relationships with my embroidery guy and my screen printing, where they know I pay my bills. So, if I have a big event coming up, they'll give me $10,000 in merchandise, and I'll pay them after the show. So but otherwise you're tying up thousands of dollars with a product. And so you have to be real judicious with what you're in. You have to make sure it's going to sell. Like this year I got wallets, but they're made in the States. They're hand-tooled leather. They're $120. But you can buy a Chinese wallet for $6. So it's tough. You're walking a fine line, and you want to employ people in the States, but people don't want to pay prices, because everyone's got to make money. The guy making it's got to make money. I got to make money. The franchise got to make money. Everyone's got to make money. You know what I mean? Otherwise, why are we doing it? So you have all these margins built in. So because people want me to make stuff all the time. Like I'll post like pictures of stuff that I've made in the past. Oh, well, you need to make that. Like trailer hitch covers we made for a while because I had a machinist working for me. So we made them for fun. You know, our cost was like $40 on them. Okay, made out of billet aluminum, chromed out. Well, that means you have to triple it to sell them because you have to build margins in for dealers and for retail. So they got to retail at like $100, $120. Well, when they go to freaking, you know, Pep Boys and they're $19.99, of course it's plastic, you know, and they don't. That's what they're comparing it to, you know. So. You know, and I didn't know any of this stuff before I started doing this. And I'm like, wow, okay, now I understand why things are priced accordingly, and you got to take all these pieces into the equation. Why can't you make? Like I've got guys on the internet or on Facebook, they'll see a part that I make, a one-off part. Can you make me that? Well, yeah, it's going to cost you, you know, $600. What? I can buy something like that at, you know, at the store for, you know, $89. Well, it's not quite like this. It's pot metal made in China and certainly better not have my logo on it. That's for damn sure. So, you know, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I introduce stuff that I know is going to sell. Clothing is easy to do. I can change clothes. It doesn't cost me virtually very little, you know. I have to buy 500 patches at once, but that's no big deal. But, sure. You know, like changing designs on screen printing or lady shirts, there's no, you know, I mean, I just design something new and me and the graphic artist work it out, and that's it. So.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I got a couple more questions for you. Let's talk a minute about Daytona, obviously, because we all know that that's coming up very, very shortly. So let's say that Cindy drove her happy little tush down to Daytona, and here I was, and I'm looking to see what Johnny Lange and Strip Club Choppers has to offer. So at a typical event, what does your appearance include, basically? What sort of entities are people looking forward to seeing there from you?
Well, obviously, it's all about the bikes. You know what I mean? And I usually travel with 3 bikes. The original Strip Club Chopper bike, the pole bike with this pole through the seat. It's a big chopper. It used to be my daily ride, but I'm getting too old for that. Then I have a Stripper Glide, which shoots flames off the stripper pole. That one actually is fully functional. I can have 3 girls on that pole while it's shooting flames out. I've actually driven down the road with flames shooting out it with a girl on it before. So it's pretty cool. And there's footage of that happening at the Buffalo Chip last year. Actually, me driving. I'm only in first gear, going very slow, because with a girl standing on a pole, if she moves dramatically, that bike's going over. It's just physics.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, she has to stand perfectly still, and I can drive in first gear. It's kind of tricky. And then I have another bike I just built. We're debuting here in Daytona. I got a big photo shoot for that bike. So I will roll, if I come to an event, you know, I'll bring 3 bikes, and then what I'll do is I'll bring a franchise with me, and they'll do all the retail sales. Some of the franchises have varying setups. Most of them have at least a bike with a pole on. You know, they all have merchandise. They have different size trailers. Some have 15-foot trailers. Others have 30-foot trailers. Just depends who it is, who I'm with. In Daytona, we've got a real big setup. I'll have 7 bikes on display, 3 different Strip Club Chopper trailers, 4 dance stages with 4 different girls dancing. No nudity ever at my setups. It's not appropriate. If we're Strip Club Choppers, we're not a strip club. So it's just dancing girls, and the girls will take pictures with the patrons. They'll take pictures with the bikes with the patrons. We also have a Strip Club Chopper lounge. We call it the VIP lounge, and that's very important patron. And we let people hang out and sit at our tables and sit on our couch and, you know, whatever, you know, hang out and have a good time. My setups are more interactive, you know what I mean, where people can hang out, listen to music. I've been to shows where I used to supply the music. I had huge subwoofers on my truck and on my Freightliner, and we'd supply the music for the shows. And so it varies depending on, you know, what the promoter wants and where we're set up and how many franchises are there and what franchise is there. But as a general rule, it's about the bikes, and we have somebody selling merch, and I'm there, you know, signing posters or doing whatever they need me to do. And, you know, and it's all, and I always usually have at least one girl with me. I do. That's attractive. Usually not too beautiful, because some guys are intimidated by really beautiful girls. So there'll be, you know, a pretty girl. But I've had models with me and all kinds of stuff. And if you find a pretty girl who has a really good personality, that's what the bikers want. And if that girl makes them feel special for 5 minutes and takes a picture with them, they talk about that all year. You know what I mean? Some things that I take for granted, you know, and so that's generally what I found. And definitely not strippers. They got too much drama. So it's usually a promotional model, and we don't have any nudity. They wear booty shorts and a tank top. That's it. You know, so.
That's way cool. Awesome. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I don't know much about this as compared to yourself, obviously, I can only imagine that the preparation and the workload you have is immense relative to any event that you do. But comparatively between the two, let's say, like, for instance, Daytona's actual bike week as compared to, let's say, a bike show, is there any more or less work, or is it just basically the same type of load as it relates to either or event and your participation in it?
Yeah, I mean, Daytona is way different because I'm actually running the Roadhouse. I'm running a big area, with vendors and a tattoo parlor. I'm the operations manager. I've partnered up with the Boot Hill and with Rat's Hole to run this area. You know what I mean? And so this is totally different. This is a huge undertaking, which I've undergone here. So this is totally different. But even going to Daytona regularly, it's 10 days. It's a long show. It's 2 weeks of your life. You're at this same area. And you have to have a lot more merchandise, and you're getting pulled in a lot more directions. Oh, I need you to come here to do this photo shoot, or I need you to come over here and film this, or I need you to come here and judge this contest, or I need you to go here and do this, or this is promo thing here. So you're getting pulled in way different directions at the big shows, where at the smaller show, everything is there. You know what I mean? If you're in Daytona, there's bike shows all over, the big Rat's Hole show, Willie's Tropical Tattoo Show, there's concerts, there's industry parties, because Daytona and Sturgis are iconic shows with all kinds of stuff going on. Whereas a small bike show in Podunk, Iowa, you are the entertainment. You're it. Big difference. So that's really the difference. I mean, I still have the same setup generally. It's just you're pulled in different directions and there's different places to go.
Certainly. And just to add, in case anybody doesn't know this, Strip Club Choppers, obviously, I know you guys do also media appearances such as radio shows, television spots, and, of course, obviously touring around. I have two more questions for you, and they're both very simple. First of all, I'm going to make you blush because we all want to know that dying question, or to those that don't know the answer to this, which I do. Single, married, taken, what's your status? Because, let's face it, they think you're cute.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I'm glad somebody does, beside my mother. I'm single. I tried marriage. It didn't work out, and so I'm single again. And I was told I worked too hard, and I guess my lifestyle is not conducive to marriage. But I'm like, I do things, and I couldn't not do things. I mean. So I always, when I say I do things, I'm going to shows, I'm doing stuff, I'm constantly working. I enjoy it. It's not like work. It's not like when I was a probation officer where some days I dreaded going in. I enjoy this stuff, and I don't ever see that changing because it's what I do. It's who I am. So, but I'm single. So.
Oh my goodness gracious! Look at that, ladies. Everyone who listens to this is going to be so excited now because now we all know that Johnny Lange is single. He's cute and he's single, but he's very intimidating and very tall. So that's all I can say about him. Okay, this is my last question for you, and this one is more of a curiosity question, I think, for most people that listen, because obviously you're in a realm, and fortunately I am too now, where you get to meet individuals that you normally wouldn't meet as the average person. So obviously there's celebrity fanfare, etc. I'm curious to ask you if you could maybe tell us some of the people that you've met and who you were most impressed by in terms of the celebrity realm, let's say.
You know who I really liked? To be honest with you, and I met him a bunch of times and hung out with him, was Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he used to come to our booth all the time, and I first met him when I lived in California, and then he always would come by in Sturgis, and he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. We were actually at Kid Rock's concert together. Me and him were both backstage with Jay and Ron Starr. A lot of people know who Ronnie is. He's done some extra work on Sons of Anarchy. So Dee Snider is just, it was a pleasure to chat with him. I used to, when I was in prison, I had the Dee Snider cassette tape, Twisted Sister. So life was full circle. I got to meet him, and he's a radio DJ, and he wrote a book. He's very intelligent, and I was just sat and chatted with him. I've talked to him many times. I'm not like his buddy. I don't call him up on the phone, but he was very down to earth and just a nice guy, and just really enjoyed. And I've gone out and partied, with Lorenzo Lamas before. Jay's good friends with him, so I've gone out with him, and it's just like hanging out. You know what I mean? So, and I've met I can't tell you the number of bands, and hung out with them. The guys from 7 Mary 3, I was on the tour bus with them, just hanging out, partying. Gave them some swag. I have a lot of friends in the music industry, so it affords me to, go and hang out. And they all love Strip Club Chopper swag. I mean, they absolutely love it. So I've gotten to meet a lot of interest. I met Slash a couple times, Guns N' Roses. Oh. Yeah, so I met a lot of musicians. Hung out with Jeremy Piven one time at the AMAs. He was cool, real cool. Got to meet Hugh Hefner one time. I met a lot of people. I'm really, really, really though enamored with sports, football especially. And meeting Dan Marino, I met him once. That was really cool. So met Jim McMahon. He was a character. And he was. I used to live in Tampa, and Vinny Testaverde used to be the quarterback of the Bucks. And he used to have a golf tournament. And I just happened to be in a bar one time where them guys, all the quarterbacks were there. So I was talking to them, and that was cool. So I've met a lot of interesting people, Fergie. I've talked to Fergie for a while. I wore Chuck Taylors, and I had some purple leather Chuck Taylors on. She's like, I really like your shoes. Like, okay, Fergie is from Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, of course.
That was cool. So I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and I don't approach them unless they talk to me first. I keep my mouth closed because,
sure.
What are you going to say? Hey, you want a Strip Club Chopper shirt? What are you going to say to these people? But so I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it perfectly does, as a matter of fact. And I did think of another question for you here because obviously the last question I should ask you should be relative or pertaining to Sam Crow Radio, which is, of course, Sons of Anarchy. So I probably should ask two things. First of all, if you're a fan. Second of all, if you have had any encounters with the Sons of Anarchy individuals. Because here's an interesting question. You and I both are in a biker world, so to speak. And I get mixing opinions sometimes for some people that I talked to at a bike show recently, and they were just really kind of, the Sons of Anarchy thing, this is such crap, and it's not really biker world, and it's not real. And then you've got the other ones that are more diehards. So I'm just curious your take on it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a dichotomy here. I mean, it's a TV show. It's what it is. Right. People, it's not real. I mean, and it's entertaining if you keep it in that, in that context.
Correct.
I mean, in real life, you don't shoot somebody one day and you're not out of, you're not in jail. It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? That's not real. I mean, and if people go, okay, this is a TV show, it's entertaining, it's, it's like a soap opera on wheels. It is what it is. And I enjoy watching it. They got cool bikes on there. There's some cool stuff. Do I die hard? No. Do I have a DVR? No, I don't even know how to work one. I'm addicted to football. That's what I watch. Die hard, 12 hours a day, probably so I can escape from the motorcycle world, for that 12 hours. But if I watched it, do I think it's cool? I mean, whoever writes it has obviously great skills. I mean, I look at television shows more from being around Jay so much, who produced television shows, I look at it kind of differently because we'll look at, different aspects. I mean, it is what it is. It's entertainment. It's not supposed to be real. And, the guys who are doing the personal appearances on that, more power to them. Have at it. I was supposed to go to Lakeland with, I don't know if you know who Jimmy K is, Two Wheel Thunder, because Opie was down there appearing. And they invited me to come down there and hang out, and I was like, Jimmy, I'm so busy getting ready for Daytona that I can't come down. He's like, why don't you meet Opie and stuff, And I said, if I'm at a show and we want to go to dinner sometime, that would be cool, but that's not really, on my bucket list, to be honest with you.
I got you. No, I understand. That's fine.
I mean,
I figured, throw it out there.
But I mean, they're cool. They're nice guys. I wish them nothing but the best. It's not my, I'm in the industry, and it's kind of like the OCC thing, same thing with them. You know what I mean? It was a television show. That's not real. That's not how real things. And that reality TV is not real. I hope I'm not. This isn't a newsflash for anybody, but reality TV is not real. And guess what? It's all scripted. And Sons of Anarchy is a television show with a script. I mean, it's just got really cool writing. It's got great bikes. It's got cool background, but. You don't murder somebody one day and you're out of jail the next day. That's not real. Newsflash.
Wow. You just broke my whole day, dude. Thanks a lot. Reality TV's not real. Wow. Ow. I'm going to tell Aviva Drescher you said that on Friday when I meet her in New York. I'm going to walk right up to her, my lovely Real Housewives friend, and say, Aviva, I guess what you're doing isn't real just because Johnny Lange
you know what?
said so.
If they wanted to sign me up and get me a check, I'll sign right up for it. Believe that. I mean, let's also keep it real on that end of things too. So.
Right. No, I agree with you definitely. Okay, before I close out, I want to ask you, I'm going to do the rundown here. First of all, I would say feel free to friend Johnny Lange on Facebook, but I can't even do that because he's not getting any more friends.
Go to the Strip Club Choppers fan page, please.
Yeah,
and that
which
you
I
can
like.
get to that page. It's on the opening of my website. You'll see the Facebook icon. You can't miss it because it's got a stripper pole girl built into the icon. Just click on there and join the fan page. We got, I know we're over 17,000 this weekend. And we also have the Two Wheel Thunder fan page, which is the show we had on Discovery, and there's 22,000. Both those links are right there, and I post shamelessly on there about bike shows and bikes and products, and and if you like it, great, and if you don't, and it's cool too. That's what America makes. What makes America great? Freedom of choice.
Sure, of course. Definitely. I also want to note www.stripclubchoppers.com, which is obvious, which would be the website. Strip Club Choppers, again, on Facebook, which you can like. I know that you're also on YouTube. I also know that you have a Twitter handle, which is @StripClubChops, which is CHOPS. Any other ways to reach you social media-wise that I forgot?
That's about it. It's enough for me to handle at this juncture. I guess there's something new somebody was telling me about the other day, and I'm like, wow, there's something else. I mean, they're all over the place. I want to just allude to the stuff we got going on in Daytona. Come by. We are right across from the Iron Horse Saloon. We've got the Cancer Awareness Day, which I want everyone to know about, which is the Biker or Not Cancer Awareness Day. We're debuting the Strip Club Chopper Cancer Awareness Bike, and we're giving away 100 gift bags of Strip Club Choppers, Boot Hill, and Rat's Hole swag to the first 100 people that come in and put a donation. Whatever you want, and every cent, 100% is going to be given to a charity that day. So we want to try to give back with cancer, and the guys from Strip Club Choppers Southeast built that bike, and it's going to be debuted there. And it's a girl who's the owner of the bike, and she owns that franchise. And then we've got the Yamaha debut of their new motorcycle from the factory, 2 days there, Tuesday and Wednesday during Bike Week. We've got the IMBBA, which is the International Master Bike Builders Association, VIP party and Hall of Fame ceremony. That's on Friday. And then every day we've got free parking. So it don't cost you nothing if you're on a bike. Free parking, free Wall of Death shows, free concerts. And we'll have our big bike display, and we've got some other bike builders in there. So come on by.
Gotcha. And you can go check out Johnny Lange if you're a girl and you're single and you want to check him out. Apparently he's now single, so you can check him out if you just want to stand there and gawk at Johnny Lange. I wish I could, but I will be in New York. I will not be in Daytona, unfortunately, and I feel bad about that. I just want to take 30 seconds, so just be quiet and listen because I do this in every show. This is what I want to tell you about you, Mr. Johnny Lange. First of all, I will be eternally pissed, and for lack of a better term, pissed if you come to Milwaukee and you do not dial my cell phone and say, come down, put on my merchandise, show your shit around, and get the word out, because I'd be more than happy to do that, or just hang out and have a beer with you, wine, whatever the hell. So if you don't get a hold of me, I'm going to be pissed. Second of all, please, if you get a chance to, because my friend of the show, Pete Alva, is going to be down at Daytona, so I don't know if you're going to be, him, right, Pete Alva?
He's filming his movie at our place on Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. I adore Pete Alva. He's absolutely lovely. Wonderful guy. So please say hi for me, obviously. But this is what I want to say about Johnny Lange. I've been very, very fortunate to have him for almost 2 hours, so this is what I want to say to you. First and foremost, thank you so much for taking the time. Second of all, I have to say that not just because of the fact that you're from Wisconsin are you cool, but because of the fact that you're so highly intelligent and you're very versed, you're very good at what you do, and you're very down to earth and very real and very approachable and very likable. And that I like. And you keep things very real. Your product is very genuine. You're very established, and all for the right reasons. I would wholeheartedly advocate anything you ever do. I would support it, and I would be behind it 100%. I will be talking about you on my other show, because I do have another radio show, my show. And I will be talking about you and passing the word along as much as I can, and I will be insulted if you don't come back to the show again.
Anytime you want, you just let me know, and I'm happy to do it if I'm available. And I fully intend to come to Milwaukee, so I will we'll definitely get together and hang out, okay?
I would definitely appreciate that. And, of course, Joey sends his regards, and he's sorry that he missed the interview, but he'll be listening on later on, and he wanted to say thanks so much for your time, too. Now I'm going to let you off the hook and go back to it. Good luck at Daytona. I'll be crossing my fingers for you.
Thank you so much.
All right, dear. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, folks, that was my exclusive interview with Mr. Johnny Lange. I wanted to reiterate just one more time, www.stripclubchoppers.com. They also have a Facebook page, of course, with the same name, which is Strip Club Choppers. You can find that on Facebook. As I mentioned before, they have different YouTube videos, as I recall, so you can go ahead and check them out on YouTube. And if you wish to go to Twitter, you can do @StripClubShops. So this way you can go ahead and follow them on Twitter. And obviously it goes without saying, if you all happen to be down in Daytona next week, certainly go ahead and stop and say hi to Johnny Lange and, of course, everyone with Strip Club Choppers. I want to say thanks so much again to Sam Crow Radio and, of course, to Sam Crow himself for orchestrating another wonderful interview. I want to say thank you to the admins of Sam Crow Eaters Club. If you have not signed up as of yet, you definitely should. This is the only all-female-based club of its kind on the Internet, and I'm so proud to say that I'm a part of it. I'm proud to say I represent it. I'm proud to say that I do this show, and from what I hear, apparently I guess I do it okay because they're keeping me around. One last note I wanted to throw out there, Sons of Anarchy, as far as Sam Crow Radio goes next week, please make it a point to tune in, and that would be March 7th. That would be on a Thursday. I'm very, very fortunate to be interviewing Rolando Molina, and that's going to be at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And just in case all of you don't happen to know, please make it a point to check out Sam Crow Radio, and that's our Facebook page. Of course, certainly here on Blog Talk Radio, same name, Sam Crow Radio. We also have a Twitter handle, so please go ahead and check us out on Twitter. And certainly Sam Crow, who is our fearless leader, please send him a friend request. Get to know him. He's an absolutely wonderful gent, as well as all of our admins, as I mentioned. So, once again, thank you so much for all of the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please pass along the word that all of our episodes are archived. So at any given point in time, if you missed today's show live, you can always go back and listen to it back on Blog Talk Radio. So you guys have yourself a great week, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Napa know-how.
A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, waterbed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At Honda, we always look for ways to innovate. That's why we combined summer and celebration to create the Honda Summerbration sales event. You can combine 0.9% APR with the stylish Accord, a car and driver's 10 best. So hurry into your local Honda dealer for the Honda Summerbration sales event. It's amaze-tacular.
Visit your Metro Milwaukee Honda dealer today during the Honda Summerbration sales event.
Car and driver January 2017. APR financing offers available for well-qualified buyers. See dealer for financing details.